All right. So hit me with your paltry excuse for an opening bit.
Okay. Do you know what an OS ton is?
No.
Okay. So I stumbled into this world recently. I was looking up a list of computer mascots the other day, and I found a couple, like the typical like Tux, that is the Linux one.
Tux the
Golang
penguin.
Gopher. Yeah. Ferris, the Rust crab.
I didn't know about Ferris, but checks out.
I love Ferret. Dude, Ferris is super cute. But so I was
Then there's
looking
Steve
at all
Ballmer.
these.
Steve Ballmer, the .NET Core mascot.
It kind of gets into there. I was looking and I was like, does Windows not have a mascot? And the only thing I could ever character I could put to Windows was like Clippy, but they killed Clippy a long time ago. And so I started Googling Windows 10 mascot. So I'm going to send you this image right now. This is what shows up.
Yeah, that's official, I think.
It actually is.
No,
so there's
it's not.
There's this thing called OS Tons. It started off as a meme on 4chan, but then Microsoft actually picked it up from like Windows 8 and on, maybe even Windows 7 and on. They commission and officially market with anime girls.
There's no way.
Yeah, no, I'll send you the
There's
article. Dude.
There's simply no way.
It's real. It's real. It's the official. Her name is Madobi Toko, which I definitely said that wrong, but that literally translates to Windowsill 10. And she has a backstory, like she's from 100 years in the future. She works part-time doing street publicity.
That's really
and
cool.
She's a fan of online games.
Good for her. That's really cool.
But yeah, I couldn't believe it. I actually couldn't. The lone mascot for Windows 10 right now is an anime girl.
Yeah, okay, your opening bit one.
Yeah, theme song.
Because this is the Motion Pixels podcast. I'm your co-host, August Meyer. August, say hello. Hello. Matthew is my co-host, Matthew Rawlings. Say hello.
Hello.
And actually, Matt, when you say hello, just edit in audio of the Windows 10 mascot saying something. That'd be really cool if you could do that. Because this is the Motion Pixels podcast. And Matthew, co-host, my dearest. Honestly, Matt, you're my favorite co-host of this entire podcast. I want you to know. But my co-host, we forgot one of our sacred rituals. Our producers, my producer's looking at me right now like she's gonna slit my throat. We forgot, Matt, to even go over what we're gonna go over. We're flying blind, Matt. The train has left the station and the operator is, drinking a Diet Pepsi at the station. It's, we're flying blind. What are we gonna talk about this week, Matt?
Dude, we're gonna talk about PS5.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna talk about Defy Bloods.
Defy Bloods. It sounded like you said Defy Bloods.
Oh yeah, Defy Bloods. Two words, one number.
Yeah. That's a tagline.
2 words, one number, no problems. Yeah, that, and I want to talk about some future gaming things that are going to be coming up, because I just got official confirmation that my Valve Index will be arriving on Friday, and I have a whole slew of things I'm planning on playing, and I'm very excited for that. So,
have you tried Beat Saber, bro?
Have you? Yeah, dude. I'm so excited. Actually, yeah, we're just going to start with VR talk. I was about to pass the torch to you and let you take this where you wanted, but...
This is like a Matt cast. The power dynamics have shifted.
We're going to talk about VR, and what I want to start off with isn't exclusively VR, but I'm very excited to try it in VR. Did you see the reveal trailer for Star Wars Squadrons today?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Did you ever play Rogue Squadron on the GameCube growing up?
Isn't it called? I think it's Rogue Leader isn't it on the second? Because I think Rogue Squadron is the first one, and Rogue Leader I think is the second one on the GameCube. I could be wrong. Hit us up in the corrections, join our Discord, go to the corrections channel, shout me out, say, August, you huge fucking bitch, you huge dummy, you're wrong, and let me know.
No,
But
you're
I'm pretty
right.
sure that's
You're
the
right.
case. Okay. Okay.
At
Then
least
get out of the
Rogue
corrections
Squad. Yeah,
channel.
yeah, yeah. Rogue Squadron is a series,
Mhm.
and Rogue Leader is the GameCube game. Yeah. Okay, cool. I didn't know that. I was just called it Rogue Squadron. Yeah. Did you play that?
Yes, I did. Yes, I
Yeah.
did.
I was not expecting a new Star Wars flight game to come out, but I mean, it makes sense. Space battles, pretty great. Star
Yeah, well,
Wars,
they have
pretty great.
Windows flight simulators generated by machine learning this time around, so they didn't even have to do anything. They
Yeah.
just pressed a button on the machine learning machine, said, "Okay, make game," and then they were like, "Okay, devs who typically make this, we have to have you do something." So they made what's it called? Just Star Wars Squadrons.
I believe so. Yeah.
It looks dope. It looks like they're doing like a like there's probably going to be like two, if there's any campaign. I don't know if it's just going to be like a 5v5 like multiplayer uh dogfighting game. But if they do a story mode, it looks like it'll be from both perspectives, the Empire and the Rebels, the Rebel Alliance. So it looks awesome. I mean, what they showed is really impressive cinematics wise. What's cool, I thought, is they showed like looked like they were fighting doing dog fights on the like around the Cloud City. And I'm just a sucker for that aesthetic, those pink clouds and everything. That looked awesome. There's like a Star Destroyer that like rises up from the clouds, and the clouds like fall off of it like water. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm pretty hyped. I think there is a campaign. I think I read something that there's an original story that they're doing. That's,
cool.
It takes place right at the end of the original trilogy.
Yeah,
So-
it's after Return of the Jedi. I read that.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's going to be pretty cool. I'm just really excited to play that in VR because I think, I bought, this week it was on sale. I bought Elite Dangerous because that has VR support. Yeah.
Wait, is that okay? Is that the one where you pay like $20,000 for the spaceships, or is that a different one?
That's Star Citizen.
Star Citizen. I get those confused. Why do I get those confused? Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen.
I was talking to my friend about this, but they were both announced at about the same time. I think Star Citizen announced that it was being made and started seeking funding. When at the I think maybe like a month later, and I think these are both in like 2011, 2012, early 2010 decade.
Okay.
But Elite Dangerous started seeking funding after Star Citizen. And in the time that Star Citizen has been announced to now, which is it's still in pre-alpha or something, Elite Dangerous has gotten funded, developed, came out, released DLC, and is now an old game.
Love that.
Star Citizen is still pre-alpha, so it's kind of interesting. But yeah, I've heard Elite Dangerous is cool. It has VR support. I think games like where you're in a spaceship, right? Like Squadrons or Elite Dangerous are good starter VR games, are good games to introduce people to VR. Because I think the coolest part about it is like you can get the immersion of VR, but like still in a seated thing. So a lot of headsets can do it, especially if they don't have like motion tracking, because Squadrons is gonna do cross VR or cross-platform VR play between PSVR people and people with VR headsets on PC, which I thought was really neat. I didn't see that
really
coming.
That's really impressive.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just I don't know if I think the entire game is first person. I don't know if they had details, but I don't know if they're gonna like differentiate like if I can play with you if you're playing normal and I'm playing VR. I don't know how different that is. I don't see why you would, but it's cool that we're going to a point where crossplay is standard, kind of, like that was just very surprising that a new game that's still on the old generation of consoles, not even on the new ones, or at least not exclusively on the new ones, is just going to throw in crossplay, especially from Sony. It's pretty surprising.
Yeah, hopefully it's the start of, just that being the norm, or maybe it is the norm now. But that's pretty cool. I'm looking right now at the studio that's doing Squadrons, their Wikipedia page, which is very sparse. But it looks like it's the same company that did the space battles from Battlefront 2, the recent Battlefront 2.
Oh, cool. That's good. Yeah, that's because I think this game's also like the new debut of the new Frostbite 2 engine or something.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, which it's good that it's an experienced team, because you've heard all the crap about people deal with like when they make with Frostbite, right?
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you read Blood, Sweat, and Pixels? The Jason
Yeah, that's
Schreier
what I'm
book?
referring to. Where like the teams that, since it's an internal engine, they only have like internal support, and the teams that always get it are like the FIFA devs or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like there was that weird story where like the Need for Speed team had to use Frostbite, but Frostbite was like there was some hard coded part of the engine where the player character had to hold a gun. So they like their cars in the code are technically holding guns. They just don't render them. Something like that.
What?
Yeah.
That's amazing. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's pretty
Internal
silly.
tools, dude.
Yeah, tools,
Tools.
humanity, mankind. But circling down a little bit to Star Wars Squadrons, I wish, the common complaint these days, I wish it was gameplay, but apparently it was in engine and it looked really good. I have no doubt, judging by this is the team that did part of Battlefront 2, which looks incredible. This sounds like this is going to be like a next gen game, so I think it's probably going to look close to what we see in the trailer. I mean, I don't have many doubts graphically about this team. I have doubts, that they won't nail the microtransaction side of things, or the multiplayer might be weird pay to win, something like that. But I think I'm excited for like yet another Star Wars game to get you immersed in the world at the level of Battlefront 2, which I mean almost looks photorealistic. You're running around, Dagobah or whatever and stuff. I mean that game looks amazing. We talked about it on a PP on a previous pod, and it's a great game. So yeah, Star Wars Squadrons looks really cool, and yeah, I'm excited for it. What else are we excited about this week? I am excited about, so you were talking about the PS5 event. There's a couple, honestly, two things in this PS5 event that I thought were, that blew me away. First of all, and this is really in chronological order, as they were shown, the Demon Souls remake looks incredible to me. It's like, I just think it's really cool that a studio like Bluepoint, who very masterfully did the Shadow of the Colossus remake a few years ago, in like 2017 or 18, I think, that they're tackling Demon Souls, which feels at this point like a modern classic. Like you could say that Shadow of the Colossus is a classic, but that came out what, 3 generations ago at this point. So that to call it a classic seems kind of appropriate. But Demon Souls came out, a generation after that. So it's cool to see, what are on paper newer games getting the classic treatment. And it seems like they're taking like a little bit of their own approach to a FromSoft game. And From Software typically makes a game that only, at least how I see it, like only From Software could have made this game. They just nail such a tone with all of their games. Like say what you will about them, if they're too hard or if they're just not your thing or if they're too dark, aesthetically or tonally. A From Software game looks like a From Software game. And I think it's just really cool that Demon Souls, this new one, like the trailer for this, the remake, was almost shot for shot the intro to the actual game as it exists now on the PS3. But the fact that it looked so much like kind of a new artistic direction for the game, it just got me really, really excited.
Yeah. I'm super hyped. I am one of the few people that when Demon Souls came out, bought it over Skyrim.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that. I was like,
and I was
idiot.
called crazy.
What are you doing?
Yeah. So I'm very hyped about it. You said you had another announcement that.
Yeah. Okay. About the announcement that I think blew all of the other announcements out of the way. This is a game that we've been waiting for what seems like years. Bugsnax. No, I'm just kidding. Bugsnax does look great, and I am excited for it. We can talk about Bugsnax too, but no, Resident Evil 8 Village. That trailer was perfection in my eyes. It drew you in. You didn't know what it was going to be. It doesn't seem like a Resident Evil game because Resident Evil is all about, bioweapons. In Japanese, the series is just called Biohazard. And it didn't look like there's a lot of biological weapons in this game because it's looks like some like Blair Witch meets Hereditary meets the Wolfman type stuff. And there's like a coven of witches. There's like a Van Helsing guy. There's someone turning into a werewolf. And then at the end, the camera zooms out over this village. Like it looks like kind of like the village, honestly, in Resident Evil 4. But it's in this like mountainous region. And then on the screen it flashes village. I'm like, oh, that's a cool new IP. But then the L's in the I in village start to flicker, and then the screen just goes Resident Evil 8 in Roman numerals, and my mind was just absolutely obliterated. I was so stoked. Like a new mainline Resident Evil. I'm a big fan of the series. Chris Redfield is going to be in this game, and the last time I remember playing as Chris Redfield, I was punching a boulder into until it exploded with my bare hands. And now Chris Redfield is this like gritty, hardened character who in the trailer like kills the main character. I think this is what he's doing. He kills the main character's wife from Resident Evil 7 right in front of him. And the main character, Ethan from Resident Evil 7, who looks like you're going to play in this game, just screams, "Why?" Like super anime, super dramatic. And it just looks like such a cool direction for the series. It's still first person. Apparently it's going to be like not necessarily open world, but exploration heavy. So I'm guessing there's going to be bigger environments. I'm just so excited. Resident Evil 8 looks amazing.
Yeah, I was pretty hyped about that. So those two games are the only things you're really excited about?
Those are just the things that like pretty much took my breath away. Like when I first saw that Demon Souls trailer, I just couldn't believe that like a company that's not From Software is going to like be given a From Software IP to like kind of do their own take on, although it's honestly probably going to be really similar. It just seems like hollowed ground that's being stepped on, like in a good way. And then the Resident Evil 8 trailer was such a debate and so well executed that I was blown away. But I mean, I was thinking all week about Bugsnax. That game looks amazing too. I really like Octodad, and the same developer is doing this game where like, first of all, the theme song for it has been all over Twitter, and I actually saw the theme song is like, talk about Bugsnax. It's like super poppy, and they're just talking about Bugsnax in the song. And I saw a version of the Resident Evil 8 trailer where they put it to that music, to the theme song for Bugsnax, and it actually works really well. So hopefully there's some crossover content there. But it's this game where you're like on an island where the bugs are snacks like strawberries and hamburgers and pizza, like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs style. And anytime you eat them, one of your body parts will turn into that snack that you ate. And there's some gameplay attached to that, I guess. And it just looks so goofy. So I thought it was cool they showed that.
I think Bugsnax is going to have a bigger debate second trailer than Resident Evil was.
What do you think? Do you think it's going to like have a dark turn or something?
You can see it. Yeah, if you watch that Bugsnax trailer again, there's some like weird, unsettling thing or like tonal shift you can feel. Like it doesn't happen directly, but there's some weird, ominous thing hinted at then, and I think this trailer is leading up to a giant debate where like it looks like a really cheery, wholesome game. I think it's gonna have a really dark turn.
I doubt it'll be like that dark. I mean, it's by the Octodad team.
Yeah, but I imagine it's one of those games where it's gonna maintain this cheery visual style, but it's gonna have some really like almost like, I don't know if this is a good comparison, but like almost like Oddworld level of death that's being thrown around.
That's a really good comparison, actually.
Yeah, I totally see it going that way. Like that character that runs in and he's saying something's happening in like the village or something and he needs him to come immediately. It was like a lot different than the rest of the tone of the trailer. And like there was some other thing that happened at the end that made me feel like that too. But I like, what's another game? I just had it in my head. Oh no. Whatever. Like the tone of it, it just feels like it's leading up for this like, it's like almost like We Happy Few. That's what I was thinking of. You know how like at the beginning it's like all trippy and psychedelic and it seems like this weird like happy world, and then it turns out there's like this weird dark thing that's happening in the background.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
like
Bugsnax is going to be like that.
It's like the Twin Peaks thing where it lures you in with this like cheery, idyllic, like Pacific Northwest town just being goofy, and there's all these crazy characters, and then it turns into like demons and aliens and like the darkest
Yeah.
parts of humanity. I doubt it'll be like David Lynchian levels of messed up. I doubt it's gonna probe into like the duality of man and whatnot. But yeah, you're probably it'll probably have some weird stuff. I mean, the game is kind of based around like body horror, like your body mutating. It's like BioShock but for kids. So yeah, Bugsnax. I mean, that's one to watch for sure. But I think what you were probably most excited about, just knowing knowing your taste, is the Ratchet and Clank Riffs of Fart game.
Almost. That's one of the things I was most excited about.
Okay.
I thought that not entire, but I thought a majority of that presentation, or just that presentation as a whole, was really good. There's a lot of stuff I didn't care about that was shown, but there was just this sheer number of games that were shown off, and there's like at least 5, and I'm sure there's ones I'm forgetting that it's like, oh, that was announced too. I can't believe it. That are standout things to me, like the Spiderman expansion. That looks
so
great,
sick, dude.
Miles Morales,
sick.
awesome.
I think it's more of a standalone. I think they announced it's more of a standalone DLC.
Yeah, whatever. Like
expansion.
It's a shifting thing, but it's like when I say expansion, I mean like it's not a sequel, but it's like building off what the first one laid down.
Yeah,
it's like a standalone
sure.
expansion, whatever. It's
like that
mini
Uncharted game, that
Yeah.
Uncharted Lost Legacy. I think it's very similar to that.
Yeah, I hear people compare it to that. I've never played Lost Legacy or know what it is, but I imagine it's since everybody says it's like that, probably is. But yeah, that looks sick. Ratchet and Clank was up there. I thought what was most impressive about that was like that's like in a weird way the showpiece game for the PS5, not because
agree.
of like because this console generation isn't about like graphic fidelity. It's about load times and all the cool things you can do now that you didn't have access to do as a game developer, like loading environments in like 2 seconds and having people constantly shift between these drastically different areas. You could tell they are really proud about that tech because that's what the entire trailer was and what the entire game seems to be based around. So that looked really cool. I've been a Ratchet and Clank fan for a long time, so I didn't play any of the PS3 ones when they were doing those. I think a few were good, but nothing to touch the original trilogy. So I'm hoping this one is great, but just like that was like a really good tech showcase.
Yeah, and you wouldn't have expected a Ratchet and Clank game, which a Ratchet and Clank game was released maybe in like 2017 or 18 that I think was like supposed to be pretty good, but you wouldn't think that like the next game in that franchise would be the not system seller, but like system technical showpiece.
Yeah.
That's just it's pretty bold move from a studio like Insomniac, who also has Spiderman going for them.
Yeah, it's crazy, especially after like the one that came out recently. I think was okay, but it was the one they tried to tie in with a movie, and the movie did awful.
Yeah,
and I think the game suffered too because they like all the cutscenes were basically like scenes from the movie or something like that. I don't know. It was weird, dark times. But the next game I got really hyped about and it was probably the one I'm most excited about out of the whole showcase.
Oh, I know what you're going to talk about, and I can't believe I forgot to mention this.
Kenna, is that what you're thinking of?
No, you go on. Then I'll say what I'm ashamed of.
Yeah, Kenna. Do you remember seeing that game?
Yeah, it looks awesome. Kenna looks amazing.
It's this. They didn't really show gameplay, but I guess
No, they did. They for sure did.
Is that okay? I couldn't tell because it blended so well. But the background is like this is like a third person like adventure game, kind of like what you would have got out of that style of game was really big in like the PS2 era, not era.
It looks like Cameo. It looks like Cameo, but a little more mature. Looks like you're like a not a shaman, like a druid. You're like a druid, right?
Yeah, you're like, but like the studio that's making this has never made a game before, and they're like primarily an animation house, and that shows so well. Like it looks like a Pixar movie.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Which a lot of people say, but this is, I feel like, the first time it's been like a true statement that a game looks like a Pixar movie in like the quality of the visuals and the quality of the animation that was shown off.
Mm-hmm.
And even like the theme, like it has this weird like Eastern Chinese or like some sort of Asian historical like setting, like back in like, you know, ancient times kind of vibe where it's like temples and overgrown forests and magic and things like that.
It gives me kind of like Princess Mononoke vibes, like the Ghibli film.
Yeah, it just looks so unique and well done. Like I feel like that's just going to be like a really well done adventure game.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna look amazing and probably have a good story with it too. Even the storyline in the trailer was good because they had this like voice the entire time that's like describing the world and like setting everything up, and it's like this old guy, and it like your mind goes to like, this is the mentor, right? This is the old martial arts teacher who's like training you, but it's the villain. The villain's the voiceover thing the whole time, and that's just like a really good like creative twist that I don't know. Like I thought that trailer was so well done. It got me so hyped for the game. That was the thing that in this presentation made me decide that, okay, I am getting a PS5. I missed out on so many good PS4 games this last generation because I bought an Xbox One like an idiot. And
the Xbox ended up being great.
The Xbox One was the worst choice if you had a PC.
Yeah, if you had a PC, that's just like having a bad PC.
In my situation, like, because that's a whole separate conversation. But
yeah,
Microsoft had nothing good this generation. But yeah, so that made me decide PS5 for sure. And then on top of that game, there's all this other great stuff that's coming out. Like you said, Resident Evil Village.
Oh my god, it looks so sick.
I like it. I'm mad I'm forgetting all these, but there's just so many great things announced. What did you think I was gonna say? That wasn't Kenna.
Okay, that's what I was gonna bring up. So I think this might have been the last trailer they showed. I could be wrong about that. But the new Arcane Studios game. First of all, I'm coming off of watching, I went on like a bender of like this YouTube hole where I watched like every single NoClip documentary. And I plugged them before, but NoClip is this amazing YouTube channel that does these really in-depth documentaries, like legit documentaries where they're interviewing these studios, like game studios, about like crazy games they've made. And they did one a few weeks ago on Arcane Studios, which is the studio that did Dishonored and a bunch of other games.
Oh, okay.
And the new Arcane Studio game is Deathloop, which is this like 1960s spy thriller inspired funky roguelike game where you're this guy who is like a spy who's been burned, it looks like, where this organization has decided that it's time for you to die. And rather than just kill you, they put you on this like Inception style island where you wake up every day and are hunted by hundreds of like professional assassins who are on this like purge like party day, and you die and then wake back up and do it all over again. And it has some sort of like asymmetrical multiplayer aspect to it that was kind of like revealed in this trailer, where you play as this guy who's being hunted by all of these assassins and has to like kill a certain number of like these Illuminati kind of figures to end the loop. But complicating that is someone else can play as this other assassin who's specifically out to get this guy. And it showed gameplay of someone playing as her. So I wonder if that's going to be like a Souls style, you invade someone else's world and they have to deal with you, this like highly trained assassin trying to kill them while you're trying to kill all these other assassins who are, you know, computer controlled. It just looks super stylish. It did all of the Dishonored stuff where you're zipping around, teleporting up walls, sneaking up on people. But it had tons of gunplay. Like you're getting these crazy kills with all sorts of different guns in the trailer. It looks super gory. The style is really cool. It's like if The Purge had better art direction, is how I would describe it. Like everyone has these really cool masks, like all of the different assassin teams, and it's all like it honestly, the trailer felt like it was like directed by like Tarantino. with how like funky and stylish the music was just pumping the whole time. And I just couldn't get over too. They had the developers, themselves introduce the game at the Sony event, and this guy who I just come off seeing in the No Clip documentaries talk about Dishonored and all these other games he had worked on. He's this French guy, bald head, like big twirly mustache. He like looks right into the camera at the PS5 event and is like, "You want to see some cool gameplay? Check this out." And no, he's like, "You want to see some stylish gameplay? Check this out." And it's Deathloop, and it just looks awesome. I thought it hit all the right notes too. I would say that's probably my like the coming in a very close third for a thing that knocked my socks off at that presentation.
Yeah, I really like that game's presentation. Like I thought the theme looked really cool. I don't know, that wasn't one of the ones I was really sold on as something I want to get. Like of all the other, because everything I was really excited about is kind of like adventure game based. Like I like shooters, but I don't really like single player shooters. And I also don't like that style of asymmetric gameplay they showed. But I'll probably try it. The theme looks really cool, but yeah, that style of game wasn't something that's super appealing to me. But I think the last game at the presentation also is pretty hype, since that I think is coming out this year, right? The Horizon 2?
Yeah, Horizon Forbidden West is what it's called.
I think it's Horizon Zero Dawn 2 Forbidden West.
No, it's not. It's not. No, it's not, dude. It's just called Horizon Forbidden West. No way it's called Horizon Zero Dawn Forbidden West.
There's a 2 in the title for sure. I know that.
I'm gonna go on their website right now and debunk this. This myth is gonna get busted, dude. Now. Call me Jamie Heineman, because this myth is busted. Let's see who we.
Dude. It's Horizon Zero Dawn 2 Forbidden West.
What's your source?
What a mouthful.
What's your source? I see Horizon 2 Forbidden West.
I see actually a lot of things.
Yeah, what's the company that makes this?
I don't even know.
It's Guerrilla Games. Let's just go on the Guerrilla Games website.
Yeah, okay, yeah, go to their site. This is confusing. What a weird. This is what happens when your title's too long.
Okay, we're going on the @Guerrilla Twitter, where they have a link to their website, where they, of course, will talk about their hit new game. Are you serious? They do not. Oh, it's called. Oh no, man! I think you might be right, because on their website they have a wait. Do they? I don't. On their website, why don't they have a ad for their new game that was just announced? They don't. No, it's just called Horizon Forbidden West. It's the on
There's
their
a
YouTube
2
channel.
in the box though.
Maybe there's a 2 in the box, but I'm looking at the PlayStation specific YouTube channel, and they call it Horizon Forbidden West. With Horizon Zero Dawn, I was hoping for Horizon Zero Breaking Dawn Parts 1 and 2, in this tradition of Twilight, but that wasn't going to happen. They'd have to talk to Stephanie Myers, and there's no way she'd have that. But it looked really good. It looks like it's set around San Francisco. But
I didn't even think about that.
You see the Golden Gate Bridge on the
that's on the box.
It's right there. It looks awesome. It looked. I don't know how much of what we saw was gameplay, but that Horizon is like a game that you don't really, at least in my opinion, you don't really need to see the gameplay to know that it's probably going to be legit, because that first game just seems so solid. That's another game that No Clip has a great documentary on. You should check out. But it looked cool. It looked like there's more. I haven't played Horizon. I've watched like a full playthrough before, so I'm familiar with the story. But it looks like there's all sorts of like animal life coming back in this one, which seems like it'll play pretty interestingly into the story. It looks like they're doing the next gen thing where they're gonna have tons more colors. Horizon Zero Dawn was a pretty colorful game, but this one is like majestic blue water on the west coast, and big blue skies and clouds, and you're in like a jungle at one point, and she goes underwater. I was joking with my girlfriend when I was watching this that they were announcing Avatar 2 at the event, which famously is supposed to be the Na'vi go underwater. Jake Sully sees you underwater. But it is not Avatar 2. James Cameron wishes it was Avatar 2. But no, look good. Horizon Forbidden West looks really cool.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I forgot. Like, okay, so I'm looking at all the games that got announced, and there's all these other ones I forgot, like Ghostwire Tokyo. That looks interesting.
See, Ghost,
Um,
that's an interesting one that I want to touch on for a second because that's a game that was announced at the Game Awards last year. I want to say maybe even 2 years ago. And when it was first announced, it looked like so it was announced to be the new game from I forget the guy's name. I feel so dumb, but he's the creator or like one of the main producers of the original Resident Evil games. And Shinji Mikami, I think, yeah, Shinji. I think his name is Shinji Mikami. Hit me up in corrections if I'm wrong, but it was supposed to be like his new non-Capcom horror game after The Evil Within, or I think it was at least him like supervising this like new generation of horror video game creators making a horror game. And the original trailer they showed looks drastically different in tone than this one, where the first one seemed like this like really spooky kind of like maybe Junji Ito-esque kind of Japanese horror. This trailer they showed at the PlayStation event makes it seem like almost like Mirror's Edge, but like horror inspired, where you're fighting these like faceless demons in Tokyo by like throwing fireballs like your Jet from Valorant, tossing your smoke grenades and shit, just zooming around. Looks like this looks like a horror game that's gonna have a double jump, is what I'm trying to say.
yeah. A horror game that has a double jump. That's a good way to sum it up.
So I don't know how into it I am now because it doesn't seem as like atmospherically scary as it originally did, and it seems like kind of low fidelity in a weird way, where it looks like the graphics are really stylized, but not high. You don't get that high, not resolution really, but it just doesn't look like there's a ton of detail. It looks like it's like almost cell shaded in the way that the world is built, which could end up being really cool, but doesn't seem scary to me. Which I was a little disappointed by, but still, it looks cool. If I didn't have the baggage of knowing what it was before, and being excited about that, it does look cool. This could be a really cool game.
Yeah, and Hitman 3, that was really surprising. I'm glad that's coming out.
Yeah, that looks awesome. The Hitman games have really just been hitting lately, and the third one, I mean, it looks really cool. It looks like the same kind of deal. I think they said it's like the end of the World of Assassination trilogy, something like that. And
God, I hate that.
Yeah, right. Yet another no-clip documentary series. This is how I know so much about Hitman on the recent Hitman games, which is a pretty interesting history. Check that out. But yeah, it's cool because it seems like this game goes for like a similar kind of like super high-class assassin, a la like James Bond, like Casino Royale kind of thing, but seems like it's going to be more story focused than what I've seen from the previous Hitman games, which are really just like these crazy playgrounds to try different things and like see how many people you can clandestinely kill while dressed as like a flamingo. But the trailer was pretty serious, so I had to remind myself that like every shot they're showing of Agent 47 sneaking around, like a palace about to assassinate someone, could be played with him dressed up as a clown, throwing rubber ducks at people.
God, yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be so good.
Yeah.
Okay, before we move on from PS5 talk though, I want to hear your thoughts on how the thing looks.
Oh, it looks so dumb. It looks super dumb.
Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a really big fan of the Xbox One Series X, which I think they're just going to call it the Xbox. I think it was this big confusing thing where they really just meant it. That's like whatever. But I think the new Xbox looks awesome. It looks just like a really fancy PC, whereas this PS5, I mean, I'm not going to go into it. You can just Google PS5 meme or something, and you can find all of the dumb photoshops people have done. My personal favorite one that I've seen is Cell, like Perfect Cell from Dragon Ball Z. His head, turns into this PS5, which has like these wings coming out of it with like a central round part. It looks so stupid. And the first thing I thought of when I saw that is like, oh my god, this is gonna get so dusty. Holy shit. I'm really particular about dusting all my stuff, and there's so many nooks and crannies in that thing. It's it's so dumb. I was just thinking to myself, why Sony? Why'd you have to be so extra with the design of your new system?
I don't like the dual tone approach they're going with everything. Because like the
No.
way this looks, it
No
makes
way.
me think that every accessory and console is going to be this black and white theme, which I don't know, like it just looks like an Oreo, like a reversed Oreo in a way, like the console. And I don't like I don't like having my consoles or controllers be white. Like
No way.
the real issue thing about the Wii is like when it's white, it stains super easy. You
And
know,
scratch, you see all the scratches way easier.
Yeah, like it's just not a good color to have things that you're constantly using with your hands a lot. So for the PS5, I think it's going to be the first thing I buy like a D-brand skin for or something like that.
Yeah. I'm sure there'll be a ton of them because so many people feel the same way.
Oh yeah, like I'm just going to throw like some sort of black skin on the thing, and then I think it'll look cool then. It'll have that weird like blue light. But yeah, I really don't like it. Are you gonna go digital or diskless? Or those are the same thing. Digital or disk drive?
Well, the one thing is the digital, which I'll be getting, looks a lot better than the disc drive, which just like looks like this svelte perfect cell head, but with a bump on it for where the disc drive is. Pretty dumb. But I'm definitely gonna go digital. I mean, my PC tower doesn't have a disc drive. I am always annoyed whenever I have to put a disc into my PlayStation. All of my Switch games, for the most part, are digital. At least all the ones I play most frequently. So I think, yeah, I'm definitely going to get the digital. What about you?
I think I'm going to go disc. I don't know. I don't like, I love PC gaming, but I don't like the concept of not owning the stuff I buy in a way. Like what's nice about consoles is you can still buy a game and then resell it. And you can't do that on a digital one. And they don't give you a lot of things to make up for that. Like the games are still going to cost the same price. And you can't share them and you can't resell them. And the convenience is you don't need to put a disc in every now and then. I don't know. I don't like that. I don't like that trade-off. And I don't ever plan on selling them, but I just, if I can get that thing where it's like, I feel like I'm getting better value in a weird way. Do you see what I'm saying? Like,
yes, I see what you're saying. And I think I'm pretty resolute in getting the disc one, but I see what you're saying. Like I like getting sometimes for a game I'm really stoked about. Like for the Death Stranding, I bought the freaking, the baby edition that has the steel case or whatever it's called, the steel case for the game, plus the the full-sized BB, the baby in the vat of goo. So, having the digital console, there's probably going to be less opportunities to buy dumb stuff like that. But again, I'm kind of, it's like an insurance policy against my future self spending $200 on another Hideo Kojima baby.
No, see, what's gonna happen is GameStop is gonna adapt, and they're gonna keep selling the collector's editions, but instead of having like a disc inside, they're gonna give you a game code. That's all it's gonna be.
I know it's the same thing, but I would never do that because if like for Death Stranding, for instance, no way would I have just bought the baby on its own. But the fact that it's like the special edition of the game that, I get in this nice case with, it just so happens to come with a light up plastic baby in a vat of goo. That's what got me to get it. But if it just comes with a slip of paper, that just steals so much thunder from it. I don't know. It's dumb, but when I'm buying dumb stuff, I like it my way. And I just wouldn't do that. But consequently, I mean, I'll be buying tons of digital games just like I do now on the PS5 digital. So I think it's pretty inevitable that that's just going to become the norm eventually. But I'll miss the opportunity to be like, dude, you gotta check this out. Here, borrow this game. You can't do that with digital.
Like I've done that with so many of my Switch games. I've had friends that got Switches, and there's so many things that you want to pick up immediately, and it's like, yeah, here, borrow Zelda, borrow Mario, play all these, because otherwise people probably wouldn't, so it's nice to be able to share. But
yeah, I agree. One cool thing about the PS5 we haven't touched on that wasn't mentioned at the presentation, but I heard secondhand on the Easy Allies podcast, friends of the show, that Astro's Playroom is the sequel to Astrobot Adventure, which is this game that you look at the Metacritic score and it's like, I don't know what the Metacritic score is, but it's super high, and people say it's one of the best like platformers on the PlayStation 4. Astro's Playroom, the sequel to it, is going to be included with the console.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. And it's not a VR game, I think. So
I think it's VR compatible, but you don't have to play it. I think that's the case.
Well, I guess that doesn't matter. I'm never buying a PSVR. So that very not important to me, I guess.
Yeah, if I'm gonna go VR, I would just go all the way. But I've heard PSVR is very cool. But yes, PlayStation. Very impressed by that presentation. When Xbox does their, first actual like, I assume they're gonna do a big blowout event at some point pretty soon. They have a tough act to follow.
Yeah, I mean, we can speculate on a lot of it, but I think theirs is going to be more about, like, they're not going to have a cool console reveal, because I think the big reveal they're going to have is, oh, hey, look, we're going to be selling multiple consoles. I feel like everybody sees that coming at this point. And then they're going to be like, hey, look, we actually have games this time. Isn't that cool? And, oh, hey, look, here's our slightly better but still shitty version of Stadia. Isn't that neat? That's all theirs is going to be. So hopefully they have good games. Otherwise, I don't know. They have a tough act to follow.
I truly think, and we can maybe, let's put a bet on this right here, right now. I think Halo Infinite is going to wow people in the same way that like God of War wowed people. Like that, I think Halo Infinite's going to have that weight to it when it's first really announced. They've had a couple cinematic trailers, but like the first actual big trailer for this is what Halo Infinite is, I think is going to blow people away with a emotional weight that I think it has to really, get the nod as like the Halo being back in a big way. Will you take me up on that bet?
Well, I don't disagree, so I can't.
Okay, we'll just pay each other then.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, like that game. See, I could make the bet about Death Stranding with you because I knew that game looked fucking stupid. But like Halo Infinite, all they've shown is the ring, and this studio has put out 2 bad Halo games and an initially buggy port of all of the original ones. So they have a bad track record, but they also have a good track record because they've been building up. Like the Master Chief Collection is great now. And it's coming out with bugs on PC, but they're fixing it quick, and it's playing well and performing well. So it's very promising technically. So I wouldn't be surprised if, they looked at 5 and were like, wow, we lost sight of what Halo is and really took a step back and did like it's not going to be like Breath of the Wild, kind of reimagining, but I imagine they're going to go back to something really close to Halo 1. And with Microsoft refocusing on games, I think there's a good chance that it's going to be a pretty good game, but we'll see. There's a lot of
we will see. We will see.
A lot of uncertainty. After the first trailer, though, if we have differing opinions, I'll take the bet.
Okay,
I think that first trailer is gonna, or that first real trailer is gonna speak a whole lot about the game.
Yeah, they've been teasers at this point. We've seen 2 teasers really for Halo Infinite.
Yeah. So I think once we get that first real meaty trailer, that's gonna. I think whatever they show next has to be the game, right? Because it's coming out this year. So I don't know. I think they gotta show their hand pretty soon.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. I mean, people have been talking online about this like Mexican standoff that the 2 companies have been doing around pricing of the console, because they just want to snipe each other's price down. So it'll be interesting these next few months. I'm much more looking forward to the tension and politics around the new consoles coming out than I am to the actual election cycle that will be in this country pretty soon. So I'm holding on for dear life to these video game events because they're a great thing to be excited about. But Matt, you're aware just as much as I am, although we sometimes forget it, that we are a video game and movie podcast. Is that correct? Or am I in the wrong?
I think so. And I would like to talk about the 2 words, 1 number movie we mentioned.
Yeah. Defy Bloods. Not to be confused with how Matt called it Defy Bloods, which you should never defy Bloods. Defy Bloods is about never defying Bloods, really. But in addition to that, it is a really amazing war movie. It's a Vietnam War movie directed by Spike Lee, and it just came out on Netflix. Feels like it was like factory made for, not factory made. Feels like it was, lovingly handmade for these times. With police brutality being at the top of mind for a lot of people, with the struggle to just be black in America being on a lot of people's minds right now, with people in the streets yelling about this stuff. Defy Bloods is this movie about these 5 friends who all fought together. These 5 black men who fought together in Vietnam, and they're led by Chadwick Boseman, the guy who played Black Panther, and they find all of this gold in Vietnam and decide to like hide it for themselves and come back to get it. But before they can, Chadwick Boseman is killed in action, and the movie picks up like 40 years later when these now 4 Bloods, as they were called the Bloods back in Vietnam. They meet up in Vietnam to go and find their friend's remains, who was killed in action, and find this gold to kind of get their lives back together, because each of them has been, had a really hard time after the war, like a lot of Vietnam veterans did. And it's a great movie, man. This is just one of those movies you watch and you're like, okay, so this will be like a top contender for Best Picture this year.
Yeah. Also, it's notable because it's the first movie to not in a gimmicky way use a Make America Great Again hat.
Oh my God, dude. It was like, so one of the main characters of the film, one of these Bloods, he is a like staunch like Trump supporter who like surprises all of his friends with how, anti-immigrant he is. He comes to Vietnam wearing a backwards "Make America Great Again" hat, and that plays kind of a big role in the film. It's like how different his time after Vietnam has led him down this path where he's just this bitter old man, bitter about the same kinds of things you hear Donald Trump speak about. But on top of that, he's this bitter black man who's had to deal with all of these racist, just the whole history of America is racist, you could say, and for the part of his life that the movie shows, he's always had to deal with that, and it's kind of set all these characters in different directions. Like a really cool part of the movie, a really powerful part of the movie, is at the beginning of their story together back in Vietnam. I think this is like right after. No, I think this is like right before they go and find this gold. They all find out about Martin Luther King being assassinated, and all just have to kind of like, they want to scream and go lash out, but the movie does such a good job of showing this Chadwick Boseman's character, like what a leader he was to his friends back in the war, and then he dies, and how like the stuff he taught them has like changed all of their lives. It's such a cool movie. This is like a really, really interesting movie, and that the story that I've talked about is kind of not dwarfed, but the style of the movie is crazy. Like the entire soundtrack is Marvin Gaye music, and Marvin Gaye was this very outspoken critic of the Vietnam War, like Martin Luther King, that's talked about in the movie. And so you have this like super heavy story about these friends trying to find the bones of their fallen friend, and also like not go mad while they're like trying to find this hidden gold. But it's all set to this like funky, like 70s Marvin Gaye music. It's so cool. And on top of that, all of the scenes with Chadwick Boseman, back in the Vietnam War, they don't have younger versions of these actors, these older men who are coming back to Vietnam. In all the flashbacks, it's just these older men playing their younger selves in the Vietnam War. Say. It's just the style of this movie is so on point.
Not even only that, like when it will transition between a flashback and present day, it will make the screen go 4:3. which is
Yeah.
it's so neat. It's like the style of that is just so well done. And like keeping the actors there and like showing that, like having the old guys play their younger selves, but having the one guy that died there being played by the younger self, because that's the only self that ever existed, you know? I thought that was a really neat touch, really interesting. Yeah, it was really well done. And the movie shifts tone pretty hard too, which is pretty
Oh
cool.
yeah.
Like the I don't know. I don't want to talk too much about it because if you haven't seen this movie, you should go see it.
It's on Netflix. You probably have
Yeah.
Netflix. Go use your mom's account. Go watch it.
Yeah.
Use
But
your ex-girlfriend's account. Go watch it.
if you I think the first half of the movie is a tad slow. Like, not that I was bored or losing attention, but I remember having this thought when there's this scene where they're on a gondola and they're going to the jungle. I was like, it's kind of weird that this was marketed as a war film. And not spoiling anything, but it picks up.
Yeah, it sure does.
It definitely picks up. So I think it does deserve that title well.
Yeah,
But
it's just it blends all of these genres and like has these homages to all sorts of like really impactful war movies. Like that scene on the gondola you're talking about. Like it's all these like old friends goofing around on a gondola, like going down this river in Vietnam. I think the movie was actually filmed in Thailand, but in the movie they're in Vietnam, and it's set to the Flight of the Valkyries, which was famously featured in Apocalypse Now, another extremely impactful Vietnam War film, where in Apocalypse Now, the Flight of the Valkyries accompanies these what do you call them, attack helicopters, like descending on the Viet Cong, in this really famous scene. But in this movie, it uses the same setting, in Vietnam, but it's all these friends like goofing around with each other. And I think that it's like the way the director plays with these genres and these homages, but does his own spin on it that works for the tone of the movie and what the movie's, because the movie's not about war, really. It's about these friends who were affected by war and affected by racism, and affected by like the world in all these different ways. And I just think the movie did such a good job like blending all of these genres. It didn't feel overwhelming. It didn't feel like a Frankenstein job. It felt like extremely intentional, everything it was doing.
yeah, it also felt like this might sound belittling, but I'm trying to compare it in a good way. It's like the essays you have to write in college, where you have to take a theme and connect it with another theme in a seamless way and relate them and show the overlap. And this movie does that with the Vietnam War and the Black experience in America, where a theme that they show with like very clearly in the scenes that are in Vietnam is that even though the Vietnam War is over, it's never really ended in a way. Like there's still conflicts and there's still remnants of the thing. And as the movie goes towards the end, and like even there's bits and pieces of it throughout, it kind of shows that all the conflict that was going on at the same time with the civil rights movement are still things that are going on and going on when this came out, which is insane that this was released at such a time.
And I don't think that was intentional. Like I remember this movie being marketed for the past few months.
Yeah, it just
like I've been excited for it.
It like highlights its point. It makes a thesis that's very true. It things from the 70s, big conflicts, the aftermath is still around, and in a lot of cases hasn't been resolved. Like another little plot line is there's a character that has a company that's dedicated to cleaning up landmines that are spread throughout. And this is an issue throughout the world from all these wars we've had. Like World War II, there's still bombs that are being found and being detonated. Like in my time when I was in Germany, the day, like, I think a few hours after I left the airport, they had to evacuate the whole Frankfurt area because they found a World War II bomb under a bridge.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and it's like there's still stuff like that all over. And it's like in Vietnam, there's still all the landmines from this conflict that are just there and that a kid's going to trip over, or like some farmer or anything.
And not just so literally, mentally, like psychologically, the war and the racism that these men experienced. Like in the beginning of the movie, they talk about how these men got to be so close with each other because in the Vietnam War, the black soldiers were sent first to be kind of like cannon fodder for like against the Viet Cong because we didn't know what we were doing in Vietnam. So these guys were sent in. They talk a lot in the movie about that there were these just soldiers in an unjust war, and these guys had to stick together and like really become brothers because they were treated so unfairly and treated like less than all of the other soldiers in the war, in this already horrible war. And that on top of that messing them up, they get back to the United States after the war and still deal with all of the things black people deal with today. Not a whole lot has changed. And a cool part about the movie that it's like a recurring thing they do. So the timeline of this movie is jumping all over the place, right? It's like sometimes in the Vietnam War, sometimes modern day. It does this thing very similar to what Matt, did you see Watchmen, the HBO series that came out last year?
No, I didn't.
Okay, you have to see it. It's incredible and touches on a lot of these racial issues too. But something similar to something that happens in an episode of Watchmen is shown in this movie, where the Vietnamese had these radio shows where they had a disc jockey. I think this is true in real life, named Hanoi Hannah, who was this disc jockey who would play music that went out to the black soldiers fighting for the U.S., where she would talk about how the Vietnamese recognized that these black people fighting for the United States were treated like shit by the United States. Like, it was plain to see by everyone that they were there initially to be cannon fodder, and then when they went back home, they were treated horribly. Like, this takes place in the 70s, right after Martin Luther King was assassinated. This peaceful guy trying to bring about peaceful civil rights change was murdered. And the movie deals with this theme of like, how can these guys, these black men from America, fight for their country in this unjust war when their country treats them worse than the Vietnamese are treating them, in a lot of ways. And there's this recurring like radio host who sends out these broadcasts to like the Bloods, almost specifically, that drills this point home. And it's just so cool. Like the generational impact that this movie nails reminds me of some of my favorite pieces of fiction. I always bring things back to Metal Gear Solid, but over the weekend I watched a full playthrough of Metal Gear Solid 3, which takes place which takes place during the Cold War, and gives you this sense that the war machine hasn't really changed, throughout the entire history of the Metal Gear Solid franchise. And it starts in like the early 60s, in 1964, this first game, and talks about like how the events that change people in war ripple out throughout history and never really change. Like, war never changes, that the famous line from Fallout. But Defy Bloods really like hammers that home. Like, the things that these men experience in their young adulthood carry with them for life. Like, the war never really ends for them. Like this character we're talking about, his name is Paul in the movie. Paul is this like Trump supporting guy who's super bitter, this old man who always talking about how he's been shortchanged his whole life. The movie kind of follows, how like the way he's isolated himself after the war, and really his whole life has caused all of these other issues in his life that, had he been dealt a different set of cards, would have turned out differently. But a big part of the movie is him dealing with that as an old man. It kind of reminded me of that way. In that way, it kind of reminded me of The Irishman. Did you see that, Matt?
Yeah, I did.
It reminded me of that, with like the toll that a difficult life takes on you, like in your later years. Like, Defy Bloods touched on that in a completely different way than The Irishman did. But I really think that Spike Lee just had such a beautiful vision with this film, and it really worked for me.
Yeah, a great movie. Everyone should go watch it. Very fitting for the times we're in, and just a great thing as well.
Yeah, God, so cool. What a cool movie. If you liked the story mode from NBA 2K18, I think, which was directed by Spike Lee, you will love Defy Bloods. And
Did he
that's
direct that?
yeah, I think he did. I think it was 2K18. He directed the story mode. So, yeah, I don't know. I guys, hit us up in the corrections if Defy Bloods takes place in the 2K verse. I don't think it does, but you let us know if it does. That's a cool video game connection.
I don't know. I think I could on that trailer they showed in the PS5 experience, I think I could see the trailer for Defy Bloods playing
Mhm.
on the close up, like in the reflection of the sweat on that guy's face.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
might be yeah.
yeah. When Zion Williamson like broke the hoop off of the basket that he was dunking on, you could actually, yeah, you could see on the sweat on his ear, you could see Spike Lee rolling, his Spike Lee joint, which was Defy Bloods. That was also a funny thing. Well, not to keep it on 2K, but 2K 21 was announced at the PS5 event, and the joke with 2K is that every year these games come out every year, and every year they look a little bit better. But the way they show how good this year's 2K is going to look is they just keep adding more sweat to the players. Because sweat always looks kind of good. Like if you remember, like when Blu-rays first came out, that's how they would market it. A lot of the times they would show like with Blu-ray, you can see the sweat dripping down Ricky Bobby's face in Talladega Nights. And they did that again with 2K21 without fail. Zion Williamson's face was just disgustingly sweaty. He was drenched, and it looked amazing.
Yeah, dude, it's that ray tracing. Like
Exactly. Exactly. Step aside, Clank, with your ray traced metal face. Zion Williamson is here.
photorealism.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. What an exciting time. There's a lot of cool stuff out right now.
Yeah, like, and this is just the beginning, man. These next few weeks gonna be insane. Gonna be
Yeah, that
crazy.
that is a cool thing about video games is that they haven't really slowed down. Like movies, I think have to slow down because I think we're really lucky that Defy Bloods came out when it did because it was likely already finished production by the time the pandemic hit. But with games, they can just a lot of the time, maybe a little slower, just keep on chugging. So this summer is going to be pretty awesome to see all the stuff that comes out. We've already seen all this awesome stuff. I'm so hyped for what we saw, especially RE8. Ugh, I cannot. Ugh, I'm just so excited. And we have Cyberpunk coming up. We have Elden Ring.
Oh
I'm
my
sure we're gonna
god, I
find out more
forgot
about
about
Elden
the.
Ring. I we can talk about that stuff more at a later date. But because Elden Ring wasn't shown, Elden Ring is the new FromSoft X George R.R. Martin game, directed by Miyazaki, the guy who directed the Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 3, Bloodborne, Sekiro. He's directing this new game with George R.R. Martin writing the story and creating the world called Elden Ring. And because that wasn't shown at PS5, PS5's event, I'm sure it's going to be shown at the Xbox event. So I'm so excited. I'm so excited for that.
Watch, they're
Don't
not
even get
gonna
me started
show
on
it.
Cyberpunk. Oh,
They're
I
not.
really hope they will.
I
Because it's
also
about time, right? It's about because Sekiro
it's
came out last year. They're
George R. R.
usually on this
Martin time is
schedule.
a much different construct, man. It's like Valve time times 10.
Yeah, but I'm hoping that really he just like sent them a, Google Doc with like some characters and like a world he came up with, and Miyazaki is just taken over from there.
That's
Um,
probably for the better.
yeah, I hope that's the case. And for what they showed, it looks like an even darker Lord of the Rings, but with like more severed limbs from the teaser they showed last year.
I don't know. I
Um,
don't think they're gonna show much. It doesn't have a release date, right? They never said when it was coming out.
no, no. I mean, that'd be a huge power play if that were a launch title
Oh yeah,
um,
but nah,
for Xbox or
that's
PlayStation.
for sure not coming for a bit. I also want to point out that I feel like everything you said you were hyped for when we were talking about things we thought were going to be shown at the PS5 event, I don't think any of them were shown.
Yeah, actually, it's funny you say that. I have a. Are you talking about like shown as launch titles for the PS5?
In general, I know you're hoping for what, like Final Fantasy 16 and
Oh
Elden
yeah, you
Ring
might have seen
and
my tweet. I called
GTA
my shot.
6,
Yeah, I was
Silent
sure.
Hill. Yeah, the one
Yeah,
thing, Gran Turismo, which is the safest bet ever. Like I would have said Gran Turismo for sure. But yeah,
and
that
you actually had a pretty good call. You said that there was going to be some really awkward social feature shown at the PlayStation event. And Gran Turismo's trailer, they had
oh
like
my
the
god.
run of the mill like car racing
That
simulator
menu, dude.
trailer, and then it just kind of paused for a second, and they just had like a little like AI character on the bottom left hand side of the screen have like a text dialogue box that had no audio that just said, "This is your new social hub for Gran Turismo." Gran
Hi,
Turismo
I'm
5 or
Melissa,
whatever.
and this is your new social hub for Gran Turismo 7. Please select an area where you'd like to explore next.
Yeah, it really looked like they like 10 minutes before the event they were like, shit, they're gonna kill me if I don't put this in. We have to show that dumb social hub. And they did, and it was pretty dumb. I mean, shout out to those developers. That game looks very good. And I'm sure the social hub will serve its purpose. But shout out to Matt also for calling that there was going to be an awkward reveal of a social hub on the PS5.
Yep.
But what I thought you were going at that is the launch titles. And that's one thing about a lot of the look, we got back to video games. We were on this Defy Bloods kick. It was all fun and good, but we're back on video games because this is a video game and movie podcast, not a movie and video game podcast. But the launch titles for PlayStation 5 are there's a lot less of them than they showed at the event. Meaning, most of the games they showed at the event are 2021 games, where the PS5 is probably going to come out holiday of this year, 2020. And I have a list here, Matt, if you want me to read what the confirmed PS5 launch titles will be.
Are you talking exclusives or are you talking just in general?
This is just in general. There's
Okay.
15 of them confirmed so far. And
'Cause
you'll be able to pretty easily tell what the non-original or non-exclusive games
yeah,
are.
let me hear him. I think I got my call right. I think I said 1 to 2, which I think is really what it kind of is. But go for it.
I think you'll be surprised. So, in I guess no particular order, you have Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, Godfall, which is that like it looks like Kingdom of Amalur, but it's published by Gearbox, and it looks like at least the trailer for this that they showed at the PS5 event was this like kind of over the top zany action Diablo-y looking game, I guess. But yeah, Godfall will be a launch title. Astro's Playroom, Dirt 5, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Outriders, which is like a Destiny style game that there was some gameplay released a few weeks ago. It looks pretty cool. Observer System Redux, never heard of that. Destiny 2 Beyond Light, Jet the Far Shore, which is that new game by the I think makers of Swords and Sorcery, by the Super Brothers. Has this like very very dark mellow electronic soundtrack. It looks kind of like Journey-esque in gameplay maybe. Bugsnax also. Deathloop, which looks amazing. Madden NFL 21, NBA 2K21, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, which was shown at the Xbox gameplay reveal event a few weeks ago, interestingly, and Rainbow Six Siege have all been confirmed as PS5 launch titles. So at this event, there was actually a pretty decent amount. Like I'm counting like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games shown at the event that will be launch games, which is a pretty decent amount.
Yeah, it's I mean, they have to have a good amount. I think maybe we had a disconnect when we were talking, but I like first party. I thought was going to be a lot slimmer than you were saying, which
it definitely is. First party games are a lot slimmer. Like Deathloop is not a Sony developed game. That's an Arcane Studios game.
Yeah.
You got Marvel's Spider-Man. I don't know if Godfall. I don't think Godfall is first party.
That's definitely multi-platform. I think
Astro's
all those
Playroom, Bugsnax isn't. Yeah, you really only have a handful of first party games. I guess Spider-Man is the big Sony Studios. Sony, what is it? Sony Interactive Entertainment, SIE Studios. Is that their? Maybe it's just called PlayStation Studios now that I think about it. But Matt, my question for you: what will you be out of those titles that I just mentioned? Like, what will you be picking up on launch day
for PS5?
For the PS5, yeah. What game? Like, what you'll be getting the disced version of the PlayStation 5, then what games will you be picking up with it?
Probably I'm only gonna get first party games on a PS5. I'm not gonna get any multi-platform games on a PS5. So just Spider-Man, I guess. Astro Bot, is that what it's called?
Yeah,
By
Astro's
default,
Playroom.
because just because that comes with it, I'm gonna get Astros because it is bundled. Yeah, I really wanted to play Spider-Man, the PS4 game, so I'll get the PS5 one. I hope, honestly, I'm probably gonna, as launch titles, I'm probably gonna pick up a bunch of PS4 games that are confirmed to be cross-platform with PS5.
Yeah.
Like I'll probably pick up not Sekiro, Ghost of Tsushima.
You should
That
get
game looks
Bloodborne,
really.
dude.
I don't know.
If Bloodborne's going to be back, I'm not sure if it's going to be backwards compatible, but if it is, you
Yeah,
should get it. It's
I
fucking
think they
awesome.
still have to put out a list of games, but I'm hoping it's like all of their first parties because I want to go back and play God of War,
Yeah.
Original Horizon, which is coming out on PC, so I can just get on that. If not, Until Dawn is a game that I've wanted to play and
Oh,
own.
it's so good.
But
You would love Until Dawn. It's so good.
I've wanted to play that for so long, and I just haven't been able to. Yeah, the entire batch of The Last of Us 2. Like, there's just so many games that I think.
That's interesting. So you're saying you're gonna get the you're gonna wait for the PS5 to come out to play Last of Us 2.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna
cool.
buy a PS4 now. Why would I do that?
That's a good point.
You know, like I know I want a PS5. I've been thinking about getting a PS4 forever, and I got buyer's paralysis last Black Friday because I couldn't decide between a PS4 deeply discounted or a PS4 Pro. And I waited too long and they were all sold out. So I just skipped. But this year I'll get the PS5 and I'll get, the only version they have. Or I'll get the disc version, only disc version they have. And get that. That's another perk of the disc version, actually. You get to play your PS4 games.
That's
like if you own PS4 discs, you won't be able to.
I have a lot of PS4 games. Maybe I'll have to. Honestly, maybe I'll just have to get the disc version. Damn it. With the freaking bump. It's so ugly.
Yeah, maybe they'll do some weird upgrade thing where like the PS4 will shred your disc or the PS5 will shred your disc or something when you tie it to your account or whatever.
Oh my god, yeah. Ugh. Yeah, I'll get the disc version too.
Hell yeah.
So, my bump list that I'll be putting into my bump. I'll get Spider-Man. That's a game. I have a PS4. I have a PS4 Pro that I got to play Death Stranding. But I have a whole bunch of other games for it too. I just have not got Spider-Man yet, and assuming that Spider-Man Miles Morales will include the base game too. I'm sure it'll look amazing on the PS5. I don't know. Could be. This could be like a definitive edition kind of thing that has like PS5 exclusive content.
I doubt it.
But one thing also that you have to take note is that Sony or developers for the PS5 have said that a lot of games will be coming to the PS5 that will act as kind of like hubs for previous content, a la like the Hitman series. How like Hitman 3 is already announced that you're going to be able to play all of the content from Hitman's 1 and 2 in Hitman 3. And like all of the if you've bought that content before, you'll have access to like those maps or whatever in Hitman 3.
What?
Really?
I know, like how's that going to work? Like in engine, cool. Or is it going to launch a new game instance that's bizarre. That's really cool.
I don't know. Yeah, it is really cool. I think Hitman 2 does that. I think if you bought Hitman 1, all the episodes and everything, I think you just can play those maps. That's cool. With it's pretty cool. So
I'm going to get Hitman 3 on my PC, so that doesn't matter, sure. But that's still a neat thing.
Yeah, it's super cool. So it's going to be interesting, but assuming that, even if Spider-Man Miles Morales is just like this new story, Miles Morales story, maybe with like new areas or something in New York, for sure get that, because eventually they'll probably add the whole original Spider-Man game if they don't at first. I'll definitely pick that up. I'll definitely get Bugsnax, because that seems like a game that once I'm done like chewing through the meat and potatoes, that'll be like, the nerd's rope that you eat to cleanse your palate. And that game just looks so funny. And then Deathloop. We've talked about the Joe roguelike experience that has encompassed my life lately. And I love roguelikes, and it seems like it has roguelike elements, which I'm really pumped for. Arcane Studios I've admired from afar from a while, so I'm just really pumped for that. I don't know if it's coming to Xbox, but if it's going to be a PS5 exclusive or timed exclusive,
Are you
then
wait? So are you getting all of these on PS5?
yeah, that's what I'll be getting on PS5.
Why not PC?
Well, I don't think Deathloop has been confirmed for PC.
Deathloop is it's not an exclusive.
I don't see it on a list of the Xbox's launch titles.
Oh, it's a Bethesda game. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a PC game as well. Let's see.
Well, yeah, hit us up in the
Platforms: PS4, Xbox One, Windows, and I guess now PS5 too. So.
Oh yeah, well, if it's only available day one on PS5, that's what I mean. That's when I would pick it up. Pick it up for the PS5. But yeah, I mean, pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, well, we've gone to games to movies to back to games again. So now I think we should close this bad boy out.
Yeah, I think you're correct, because this has been the Motion Pixels podcast. I have been your co-host, August Meyer. August, say hello. And Matt, I'm not going to say hello here. If you could just edit the Windows 10 anime girl mascot to say something here, you can edit it right here. Joined by my co-host, Matthew Rawlings. Matthew, say hello. And Matt, no need to say hello. You can just edit the same Windows 10 mascot saying, a similar thing. You can do that right here. Because this has been the Motion Pixels podcast. Theme song.
I'm finished. メールが届きましたよ。